Hello everyone and welcome to day 2 of our rainbow dress sew along. Today we are creating the rainbow skirt and adding the pocket, so by the end of today we'll have the skirt part completed. Let's start by doing the color blocking part. I like to start from the smaller piece and work my way to the top one, to the biggest one, which is basically the main skirt. If you want to go the other way, you're absolutely fine, it doesn't really matter. Make sure though that you put them in the correct order. So what I like to do, I like to lay them on my table right side up in the correct order and then go from there from the stack, you know. So first let's grab the bottom piece, so piece 5 and piece 4, and we're going to place them right sides together like so and stitch with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Except for the pockets part, all steps from today I will be doing them on my serger and my cover stitch. So it's a 1/2 inch seam allowance. So then you can go ahead and top stitch, or I like to sew them all and then top stitch all. But it's up to you, you can sew, top stitch. So now I'm going to grab the next piece that will come right here, and I'm going to place them right sides together and stitch along the length. Definitely laying them on the table helps you to make sure that you don't grab the wrong piece. Okay, so we have 3 done. Now we're gonna go to the black one and grab that, and we're gonna go right sides, oops, I dropped it on the floor, right sides together like so. And of course you're going to be doing the same thing for the second skirt, part of the skirt. I'll do that off camera because it's basically repeating all the steps that I've done here. And then we'll sew. Okay, so you have your 4 pieces. And now we're going to grab the skirt and make sure that the notch for the pocket, see, this is my pocket notch, and this is the curve, and this is my center notch, is up. Don't sew it like this. Make sure it stays the right way. So, right sides together. You can do all these steps on your sewing machine. If you do use your sewing machine, use a 1/2 inch seam allowance and a stretch stitch. One side of the skirt is done, and this is what it looks like on the color blocking part. Super cute, right? So you can go ahead and top stitch every row right now. just pick a direction in which you like to top stitch. I personally like to top stitch towards the bodies, so to top stitch up. Another way you could do this is to make both skirts, sew them after we do the pockets, and then top stitch a long top stitch on both front and back. Whatever is easier for you. So I'm gonna go ahead and top stitch right now using my cover stitch. You can top stitch with a zigzag stitch on your sewing machine as well, or twin needles. I don't like skipping top stitching because top stitching flattens the seam allowance on one side, and it does not, especially if you have a sensory kid or you're a sensory person like I am. I don't like the feel of those seams if they're not top stitched. So, but again, if you don't mind, I mean, top stitching is optional. One, two, let's see, three, and then four. And last top stitching. Sometimes it wants to fight me to go on the other direction, but no, I want the top stitched up or towards my right hand. Okay, so this is what it looks like top stitched. I'm going to go ahead and create the other skirt, and I'll meet you back here in a second, and we'll do the pockets and sew the side seams. Alright, we are back. I have sewn both skirts. So now we're going to add the pockets. For the pockets, take your pocket and right sides together, place it the correct way. So like this is vertical, and place it where the notch is, and I'm going to stitch it down with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. Because the skirt is a circle skirt, so it's not fitted, the stretch where the pockets are is not required for the skirt to fit because it flows away from the body. You can use a straight stitch for this step. Okay, and you'll be repeating this 4 times. So place your pocket along the edge and stitch it. I did increase my stitch length to 3 millimeters and lowered my tension to 3.8 because that's what I tend to do for knits in general. So one skirt is done. Let's do the other one. I need to double check my notches. I feel like they're not on the same position. Right, so it's together. Yeah, it looks like the notch on one side is a little lower, so I might have cut it wrong. I'm just gonna match it here when I put the pockets. Now that we have all pocket pieces sewn to the skirt, place your skirts right sides together, and we're going to use the sewing machine just for a little bit of the skirt, because I like to do it on the serger, to sew my skirt on the serger. So what I do is I sew the two little V's here with the sewing machine. So place your pockets right sides together like so. Okay, and I like to stitch with a 1/2 inch seam allowance. I go about an inch beyond where the pocket starts, and then pivot and go towards the pocket like so, and then I can stop because I'll do the rest with the serger. But I want to show you how this step is done on the sewing machine. And same thing for the bottom part of the pocket. I push the seam allowance towards the pocket bag, like so. So the seam allowance is towards the pocket bag. I match the right sides together, and then I do the same thing. And I go about an inch into the pocket, pivot more like a V, and then go towards the pocket. So now this is what it looks like. You can see it because I have black thread, so it's pretty easy to see. Come on. So this is what it looks like with those V's that I was saying. And now you can go ahead and stitch all around with your serger. Not a problem. Just make sure you keep the 1/2 inch seam allowance. Skirt. So this is what it looks like when it's serged and stitched. With the sewing machine. And from the inside you can see pocket, really cute. It's going to be very nice once we give it a good press. So we're going to be doing the exact same thing on the other side, which is the color block sides. And that's the last step for today. Okay. Matching my pockets. Same thing, I push the seam allowance towards the pocket. And do my sewing machine V's. For this part, when you go stitch it with your serger, I would recommend, although I'm not a big pin user, I would recommend to put a couple of clips where the color blocking happens, because you want to make sure that it matches perfectly on both sides. So the seams match perfectly. Well, as perfect as you can get it. You know, I don't strive for perfection, I strive for fun and a beautiful project, even if it's not perfect. Okay, pins. Well, I say pins, but you know I mean clips. And now I'm going to match the seams here. So when I put them through the serger, I want them to match pretty. There's going to be a lot of bulk here because of all the seam allowances. So if you think your serger will not be happy going through all these layers, do this step on your sewing machine. You know your machines better than anyone else. So this is what I did. I pinned just the color block part, and now I'm moving to the sewing machine. give your machine a chance to go over the ball. Go slow. We're not in a rush. Do the best that you can. Alright, so that was it for today. You've completed your skirt. What I will ask you to do is to go and ahead and give your color block pieces a good steam press, because you've put your knit through stitching, through top stitching many times, so it will need a little love from the steamer. This is what it looks like on the other side. Go ahead and give it a good press, snap a picture of your progress and post it in day 2 photo of the Sew Along album. You'll find the Sew Along album in the Made for Mermaids and Parents for Pirates Sew Along group on Facebook. And that will count as your progress for today. And I will see you back here tomorrow when we'll create the collar and we'll add it to the front bodice. Bye!